We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Massive. I'm talking about massive show for you tonight. Listen, college football never ceases to amaze me. Never. Like, it just the last thing that you're possibly thinking that is going to happen 9 times out of 10 is going to happen. We got a lot to talk about that tonight. A year ago today, I don't know if you remember this, but a year ago today, Brian Kelly was announced as the 34th LSU head coach in program history. All he's done in 1 year is win the SEC West, get LSU from 6 wins to 9, and playing on the biggest Saturday of them all. You could say outside of a national championship, but national championships are played on Mondays. The biggest Saturday of them all, and you're fighting for it. You got to start believing. I'm telling you, they can do it. I'm telling you they can do it. A locked-in, focused LSU can do it. Go shock the world. Damn near 21 years ago to the day, LSU would go to Hotlanta and shock the world, beating Tennessee. You can do it again. They're not more man than you. Puns intended. We'll talk about it. What Brian Kelly has meant to LSU, obviously you know, but I'll bring some things up that maybe you forgot, some things and some early criticisms that he took and where he brought the program out of. Coaching carousel and portal, I'm going to go a little bit on a rant too about the portal. Let me say this, because I know that sometimes athletes, especially college athletes that hit the portal, usually hit the DMs. Let me just open up the show by saying this. If you are in the transfer portal and you're a college player, which is the only place you can do it, be in the portal, is be a college player. The portal doesn't open until December the 5th. Stop tweeting out offers you have. You can't do it. It means the team that offered you is tampering, technically speaking. Save yourself, protect the school that's giving you the opportunity to go and play for their team. Stop doing it. But it is going to go rampant Monday. We'll talk some recruiting, some portal stuff, and coaching carousel. Some articles have been going out about Matt House flying around out there. Some people, I'll tell you what I think, and obviously I want Coach House to come back. I think he does. But nevertheless, we'll talk about that. Memphis Spence makes his return back to the show. He will be live here at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Looking forward to having Memphis Spence back and joining us. And I'll give you my championship picks tonight. I really, really, really am leaning USC. But, you know, as the song goes, my mind's telling me no. But my body's telling me yes. I'm picking Utah. Here comes the Utes, damn it. Here comes the Utes. We'll talk about our picks for championship Saturday. All right. Let's get to a couple of these comments, though, before we get rolling. Tasha Thibodeau, who runs the Real LSU Nation massive Facebook group. I think there's like 90,000 LSU fans in there. She joins us. She says prayers for Coach Mickey. Yeah, listen. There is no defense whatsoever in putting your hands on a woman. With that being said, you know, a lot of you probably watched the TV series Yellowstone. You know the character Rip. If you're going to fight somebody, fight me. You know what I mean? I don't know the situations. I don't know what happened. I can only pray, as Tasha put in here as well, for Mickey. I don't know, but I'm not going to talk about. I mean, what do you want me to say? Don't put your hands on a woman? There's no excuse for it. Guys, there's zero excuse for it. I get that he's a Louisiana guy, LSU native or LSU former assistant coach. I get it. No reasons. No reasons. You don't put your hands on a woman. You just don't do it. Aaron Hornsby says, time to take that ship. Absolutely, man. It's time to believe. It's time to believe. Like, I'm telling you, you can beat them. Blake JD5's not playing well. And then I tell you Monday, receivers aren't getting open. And then you go watch somebody's film breakdown. You're like, oh, shit. I get 12 DMs today. Oh, Blake, you're actually right on money. No receivers open. No shit. The eye in the sky never lies. Never lies. But JD's going to have to rifle that thing. Give him the opportunity. Give him the opportunity. You gotta let Brian Thomas come down with that thing, bro. Like, let's go. Like, I don't know how you guys remotely feel and girls remotely feel. My mindset for this game, we're going in there swinging. As the rap song we go, we're coming in hot. Walk it like you talk it, like you amigos. And I'm not talking about 3. Like, let's go. Let's go. Because, and we'll talk about this in the Brian Kelly rant that we have out of the first break. Like, I'm telling you, let's go. Brian Kelly is exceptional. Exceptional when a team loses, responding the following week. Exceptional. Somebody said, and I didn't. So if I hear a stat, I always go and look at it myself because I think some people make up stats. Somebody put out there, like in the last couple of seasons, I think he's like 16 or like last 5 to 10 seasons, whatever. He's like 22-2 following a loss coming back, or 22-4, whatever it is. Like, dude comes back swinging. His teams come back swinging. And or however many of those losses, like 2 or 3 or 4 of them, I don't even really remember the stat. I forgot to write it down. One of them came in one season. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. LSU fans don't want to be in here. We don't do anything. We're not going to play. Screw it. You got to go fight now. You got knocked out by Clubber Lang in the first fight. You got to respond, baby. You got to respond. It's not how hard you can get hit. It's about how you're able to pick yourself up after hitting the canvas. All right. Julius says, I love Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is our dude, man. He's our dude. Lamar Williams says, Blake, stop. My mind's telling me no. But my body is telling me, yeah. Hey. Ryan Williams, our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, says in 2001, LSU over Tennessee in the SEC championship game. That was a stunner. Let's do it again. Got the same feel, baby. Got the same feel. Go take him down. Go take him down. Chop the tree. One step at a time. One play at a time. One drive at a time. Let's go do it. Let's go do it. David said the film don't lie. No, the film doesn't lie. No, the film doesn't lie. Dylan on Facebook says, Blake, people can say what they want. Kelly is a dog. Maybe not this year, but that man has a championship coming quick. I agree. Dane Bergeron sends us $10 via Super Chat. Thank you for the $10. He says, hell yes. Pull out all the stops. Use every play in the book and some that aren't. Take no prisoners. You can't take any prisoners. You can't take any prisoners. None whatsoever. Pressure says JD5 going to light it up Saturday. I think he can. William Hanno says Glover Lang. We all know how that ended. Yeah, Rocky came out. Rocky 3. Apollo Creed in the corner. But, like, dog, come out. I'm talking about come out swinging. I might be even a little bit figuratively. You can't be scared of them. This isn't the feeling you should have right now is not Les Miles, Ed Orgeron versus Bama. This is that 2001 feel. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Tasha says you crazy. I am. I have issues. Trey Patton says, I see Georgia running a lot of pro-style sets Saturday. That keeps Hercules off the field. Got to find a way to put Hercules on the field. It's your job to get ways to put Hercules on the field. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Mr. Neil Farrell Sr., our good buddy, our good friend, shout out to his son Neil over there in Las Vegas, says, LSU going to bust that. Go Tigers. I agree. D. Payne says, facts, those Ed O-less days are gone. They're gone, man. They're gone. You know, I hear LSU fans selling their tickets and all this kind of stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go to the game. Have fun. Drink a beer. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. So many of you watching us live right now on Facebook. Do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media, all your social media pages. Also, if you're listening to us or not, share to the social media pages. Share those Facebook groups as well. If you haven't joined them, like the Real LSU Nation, Tasha, the ones that Tasha runs, do us a favor by doing that and share to all of them. There's 150 of you live on YouTube right now. 150 of you live right now on YouTube. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Share to Twitter, share to Facebook, share to Insta, all that stuff. We greatly appreciate it. Shout out to our good friends over at the TuneIn app, our good friends over at SiriusXM, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe. We greatly, greatly appreciate you doing that. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons, gmvarnosons.com. We return in 1 minute. Ruffino's rants on deck. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. All right, a year ago today, something magical would happen. Something absolutely magical would happen. LSU would formally announce. Now, yesterday it was known, and we had a show about it a year ago about Brian Kelly being the next head coach at LSU. But a year ago today, LSU announced Brian Kelly is the 34th head coach in LSU football history. Now, to me, and I don't know about to you, it feels like such a long time ago, right? Such a long time ago that it was announced that Brian Kelly was your new head coach. So now that, it's been a year, we can put everything into a perspective. We can put everything into just one generalized calendar year. Let's talk about some of the things that Brian Kelly overcame. 39 scholarship players. 39 scholarship players. Guys, he took a team that was, let's call it what it is, that was under Ed Orgeron that was beat to shit. You have a wide receiver at quarterback because the backup quarterback got mismanaged by the head coach, and you don't want to burn his red shirt, even though maybe some believe that Garrett should have burned his red shirt. I was on that club as well, but regardless, you had a wide receiver who hadn't thrown a pass in 5 years in a competitive game at quarterback. You have walk-ons, 2 walk-ons, a fifth-year senior that's been hurt but is a really loyal player playing safety. You don't have that many defensive linemen. You got 7 offensive linemen that are able to go. A couple of pair running backs are able to go. You have guys leaving for the NFL draft. Where are you going to get all these players to be able to be competitive the following season? Well, Brian Kelly held on to the recruiting class that he was inheriting. You remember some of those guys. Some guys like Will Campbell, know him. Emory Jones, do you remember him? They just start at both of your tackles in your bookends. A guy that Alabama was really hard after, a freshman out of Florida, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Mason Taylor. You remember him? He just caught the biggest pass of the season in the 2-point conversion against Alabama in overtime. We can go on and on and on. But see, I can't move forward before I mention this. You remember there was a player that went on national television and Harold Perkins and committed to Texas A&M. I'm old enough to remember when everybody thought, oh, Brian Kelly can't recruit. He can't do it, Blake. He's a lazy and shitty recruiter. Is he? Because Brian Kelly told Tom Rinaldi just a couple of weeks ago that the biggest thing that he took to heart through everybody when they were saying that he was coming to LSU was that he wasn't a good recruiter. And he flipped what probably is the most impactful freshman, probably since Derek Stingley, but he gives me a lot more of Tyrann Mathieu type of vibes, doesn't he, you? See, we sit here and we reminisce on these things. Then he would have to go to the portal. He would go and get guys like Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks and Mekhi Garner, Mekhi Wingo, Kyron Lacey. And probably the biggest of them all right now being Jaden Daniels. See, the funny thing is when you have a plan and you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. When you stay strapped in the club, when somebody buff walks up to you, you can pull out that 9 and blot, dot, 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 dot. There's levels to this game, man. There's levels to this game. Brian Kelly's done it multiple times before. So I'm also old enough to remember that people freaked out talking about recruiting. Remember when people freaked out when Brian Kelly didn't hold a press conference after the first national signing day when he probably didn't even know half the guys that just committed to his team and signed with his team? They freaked out over it. Oh, Brian Kelly's just not living in the way of LSU, Blake. So now let's fast forward. He inherits a team that he doesn't build, but he has to reconstruct with duct tape. Yes, you lost to Texas A&M last week. Yes, you lost a heartbreaker to Florida State in week 1. Yes, you got blown out by Tennessee. Even though if you really go back and watch the game, LSU just kept making miscue after miscue after miscue. Guys, they're 9-3, and they're about to go to Hot Atlanta, and they're about to fight for the SEC championship. They have a legitimate chance to go out there and win an SEC title. Now, if you would have told me a year ago today that Brian Kelly would have the success that he's had, and you would go into Atlanta and you would fight for a national or you would fight for an SEC championship game, you know what I would have told you? You're a damn fool. You're a damn fool. And some of you who did say that, I did call you a damn fool, and damn was I wrong. I will admit my rights and I will admit my wrongs. But the one thing that I will not do is let you forget what he's done. Guys, you, regardless, if you win or lose tomorrow, even if you would have won last week and you're fighting for a playoff position, it doesn't minimize the success that Brian Kelly has. But at the end of the show, I want you to do me a favor. I need all 400 of you to do me a favor. Whether you're listening on YouTube, whether you're listening on Facebook, XM, TuneIn app, wherever you're listening to the podcast, do me a favor. Do 85 minus 39, and you'll come up with a number. That's how many players Brian Kelly's missing when he inherited this team. It's honestly impressive, man. And quite honestly, that's why he should be a candidate for Coach of the Year. He should be a candidate for the Coach of the Year. But you know what else Brian Kelly didn't do, or what Brian Kelly did do? He went and got a linebackers coach from Kansas City in Matt House. A lot of you love Matt House. He went and got a guy in Mike Denbrock, who at the time that he was technically hired was going up against Alabama and didn't have the athletes to beat him. He did this year. See, as this team will continue to build, as this team will continue to get better, and I'm going to post something after this show that's going to rock your world when it comes to recruiting. And it maybe not rock your world. Maybe I should rephrase that. That's going to give you a lot of hope. I want to tell you this, and it's the number one thing that you need to remember. When you have Brian Kelly, you have a plan. And 9 times out of 10, that plan is going to get executed. Don't listen to Reese Davis. Don't listen to the Rudy Poos at Irish Breakdown and Brian Driscoll. Don't listen to him. LSU's a different breed. Brian Kelly gives you on any given Sunday, or Saturday, I should say. Any given Saturday, Brian Kelly's worth 3 to 4 wins. You know how I know that? Because he just did it. Now what happens when he's fully ready to go? What happens when you have an injury in the first half and Harold Perkins, or you have an injury on the offensive line and you have another highly rated 4-star guy or 5-star guy that he can replace him with? Because technically he's going to do that. They're going to go get kids in the portal. They're going to sign these kids, these high school athletes. God bless it if he gets Deshaun Womack. Like, guys, I don't think people are talking about Deshaun Womack enough. The edge rusher from Maryland. I don't think people are talking about him enough. Because I promise you this, he's good enough to see the field day one. He's that good. So could you imagine Harold Perkins and Deshaun Womack coming off the edge? Because that's going to be lethal. He's doing it at a high level. Now, on the field. Guys, have you gone into a game this year where you sit back and you ask yourself the question? You might be down at halftime, or you might be up a little on a team like Alabama. You know, I have a comfort level going in at halftime. You know what? Brian Kelly's going to make the right adjustment. Because 9 times out of 10, and technically, 11 times out of 12 this season, he made the right adjustments. Last week, he didn't. In my opinion. I don't worry about him or his staff. I don't worry about recruiting. I don't worry if he's going to be on the front page or the frontline news of ESPN for doing things like we opened the show with everybody wanted to talk about, like things with Mickey Joseph. He's not going to put you in that situation. Knock on wood. You've come a long way, man. You've come a long way. He solidified this team. When you lost to Florida State, the team didn't crumble. You have Kayshon Boutte, going nuts on the sidelines. And what happens? He responds in the right way. That's because of the leadership that you have up top. So don't let last week's loss dictate what your excitement level and your passion and your want to and drive for this team to go into Saturday, because they can feel it. Guys, the one thing that is the biggest lie of all time, and Orgeron used to say, block out the noise. Ed, I love you to death. I really do. Ain't nobody blocking out the goddamn noise. Nobody is. You're not. You're letting your troll dog over here. You're letting your little doggy over here that's not even 5'6", text media members and text brand new podcasters. Can you stop saying that, please? Like, you got to be behind this team, because without Nolan Smith, Georgia has a weakness. Here's their weakness. Georgia has shown, and we talked about this with Graham Coffey last night. You want the serious Blake? Here he is. Got to hit him on the edge. Nolan Smith being absent in that lineup creates a void. Here's the stat I told you earlier. I didn't check on the stat. Here's a stat that I can share with you. You ready for this one? On rushes to the edge side from the Tennessee game on from Georgia to the rest of the season from Georgia Tech. 19 rushes on the edge. 19. 191 rushing yards. Net. Now, here's the thing with that. When you go and look in the box scores, what you will see is, well, Blake, this team only rushed for 50 yards. Well, Blake, this team only rushed for such and such yards. Well, you got to account sack yardage into that as well. They have a problem at setting the edge right now. And the last time I checked, and I know that he's a little wobbly. Call him Speedy Gonzalez, because Jane Daniel can catch that edge. You got to go out there fighting. LSU is not a place, and since 2000 has not been a place. And shit, really and truthfully, even in the DiNardo years, is not a place where we tuck tail and run. We go to Atlanta. We show up. Oh, you want to take us down? Bring it, bitch. You got to believe. And I'm not talking about the company I work for, BLEAV. Believe. The Russians didn't have a shot against the U.S. in hockey so many years ago. Believe. Talk to a player today. I talked to a player today. I went on a 25-minute rant on the car ride home. I was screaming on the top of my lungs. Take it to their ass. Blake George is unbeatable. Yeah, okay. We'll see about that. Go take it to their ass. They have next week. They have a playoff spot secured. And if you fall short, who gives a damn? There's no business LSU deserved, or nobody believed that LSU would be 9-4 then. Nobody. I'm down with what Brian Kelly's building here, man. I'm down with it. If you're not, you better hop off that damn bandwagon, because that thing is coming. It's like an episode of, or it's like the what did Major Payne tell the little kid? Want me to tell you about the little engine that could again? We're the little engine, god dang it. Toot, toot. Want to talk about the little engine that could again? What a great movie. We had Veterans Day. I saw somebody do this. Wait, what was Veterans Day, like last week or 2 weeks ago? Somebody said, Happy Veterans Day to Major Benson Winifred Payne. I think Pooh Bear, our producer, who's a veteran. Actually, is the one that sent that to me. Oh, it's so funny. All right. We got Memphis Spence coming up. He hasn't been with us in a couple of weeks. So I'm glad to get back with him. We're going to get into the ultimate. And look, because he's been a voter, all this kind of stuff. Like, I got to ask him the ultimate questions. Like, what in the Rudy Poo hell is going on with Clemson only falling a spot? Like, we're about to debate. Like, it's like an episode of Suits, and call me Harvey Specter, because here it comes. Debates. Oh, here's your little list, big game. By the way, our dude did come on the show. I got to give him that. He didn't back down. All right. Crying says sources. Buddy, you have no sources. Come on. Sources. This one's funny. Pressure Williams says, Jigga train coming through. Jigga train coming through. Y'all better move. That's true. Very true. All right. Let's get to our good friend Memphis Spence. He joins us next. Let's talk about our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. Dude's killing the game. But I do got to talk about my good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. GMFS Mortgage, changing lives. Buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing the cash out refi. The timing has never been better. Call him today at 225-614-1234. Let him know Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, let's talk about our good friend Carol Falls. 45 seconds. The guy you've been wanting, the guest. Memphis Spence returns next. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. There he is. We missed the button. He's back.
I'm back.
Spence,
I'm back.
Buddy. All right.
What's up, man?
Getting into introductions. What in the Rudy Poo hell is going on when Clemson only falls a spot after South Carolina goes to Howard's Rock and starts clapping?
You know something? I got nothing for you on that one, man. I got nothing for you. I don't know why Clemson only dropped one spot.
They lost to a subpar SEC team.
Yes. One that now people have ranked, but still, yeah. I mean, so they beat Tennessee. That was coming.
Let me ask you this, okay? Because if the rankings were of a 12-team playoff, okay, Tulane would get in over Washington. Tulane. I'm 37 miles from New Orleans, and they're going to kill me for it. Michael Penix would go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs against Tulane.
So
make it make sense to me, please.
The only way I can okay. What's going on with the voting right now is the most deserving teams, the most deserving resumes are the ones being, I guess, given credit. That doesn't necessarily mean that the teams, case in point, I was trying to tell somebody this the other day. I was like, Alabama can beat everybody in the field. They may not be in the field at the end of the day, but they can beat each and every one of those teams, Michigan, Georgia, TCU, definitely, USC, probably without a problem. That doesn't mean that they deserve to be in the field, though, because they do have a couple of losses, and these other teams have better records, blah, 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 blah. So what this committee does and what they've explained to us, because we have to do this little presser after they get done talking to
let our listeners know you're a part of the presser that talks with the committee.
Yes.
Okay.
I talk with the committee after, and we ask questions. We try to drill down on what's going on, because the way they think isn't necessarily the way I think. But if I know how they think, then I can kind of quantify what they're going to do.
Do you have
And
an
what they're
idea?
doing is basically providing. I can tell you that there's a couple of teams that they want in, and it'll be interesting if TCU loses their championship game.
Oh, they're putting in Ohio State. They're Memphis.
Yes.
Right. Right. There. It'll be Michigan versus USC, and it'll be Georgia versus Ohio State. You know it, and I know it. That's what they want.
Absolutely.
They don't want TCU in here. You know it, and I know it.
They didn't want him last time. No. I mean, somebody pointed out the fact that, last time they were ranked third at the beginning of this whole college football playoff thing, they won their next game 55-3 and then dropped to 6. It's happened. It already happened to them. I expect if they lose this game, they're out. And I think they know it. I think, I think their media knows it. But they would much rather have Ohio State in this thing or Alabama than TCU, just based off of ratings alone, because it's still a business. TCU doesn't pull any type of ratings. TCU and Memphis are around the same in terms of ratings, just to throw that out there. I'm serious, man. We're not pulling maybe 500,000 to 1 million. That's about it at best. But they want big ratings. They want, they need at least 10, 8 to 10 million on each and every one of these games, minimum. They really would rather 15 to 20.
Cincinnati versus Alabama was the lowest viewed playoff game in its creation.
Because of Cincinnati.
Correct.
Because of Cincinnati.
Correct.
And they don't want that. The advertisers don't want that. Because, I keep telling people there's business behind
calling Memphis. Could you imagine State Farm calling Greg Sankey and ESPN and being like, dog?
Hey, listen,
call Boo Boo Shoo Shoo, whatever the AD's name is, and tell him he better not do it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a business here that people have to think about, and I'm always trying to express that to people. Like, don't be surprised if this happens. The other thing is, I'm not entirely sure that if USC and TCU lose, that they just don't put in Ohio State and Alabama and fast forward this to what I think is going to be in the future anyway, Big Ten versus SEC. It may become that this year, or a precursor of what we may see in the future, of just those two, North versus South, those two conferences going at it for a championship. Those, in my opinion, are really the only true power conferences. I know we've been throwing this Power 5 thing around for a long time, but those are really the only true power conferences, and have been, honestly, since the inception of this whole thing. But it's TCU has a hill to climb, and if they lose this, they're out. And if the officiating gets kind of funny at the end,
what happened.
You'll know why.
All right, before I get to LSU versus Georgia, I got to ask you some more rankings questions.
Go ahead.
I understand LSU falling to 14. I get it. You lost to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
There is not a better defensive line in the country that USC's seen. There's not a defensive line USC's seen that's better than that. You know who else hasn't seen a better defensive line? Utah. I have a very massive problem with Utah. Here's why. You came to Gainesville and you got your cheeks clapped up front. Now, I get that Florida beat A&M. The problem with that, though, A&M had 22 guys out. 22
I remember
players out in that game. Okay.
Yeah,
here's my issue. You can't justify LSU losing to A&M when Utah, a perennial top 10 team, apparently lost to Florida, that LSU beat, I might add, and handily. Memphis, this kinds of stuff doesn't make sense to me. So you have a team that lost on the road. Well, Blake, the heat and humidity. LSU played Arkansas in the snow. Are you going to hold that against them?
No, you can't. Weather's not a factor in any of these. I can tell you that.
So someone's got to please tell me, Memphis. I don't see it with Utah. I don't see it. I just don't.
Well, if you go back to the show that we had, at the beginning of the season, actually before the season started, I told you that like BYU actually looked like a better team than Utah to me. So I'm with you on Utah. Utah's not really the truth. However, they're the only team that's beat USC this year, right? So, and like I said, don't be surprised if USC doesn't blow this thing and get beat by Utah again, and we find out, because then you're talking about a 2-loss, a double loss USC, Tennessee, and Alabama. And now,
Alabama's in then. Alabama or Tennessee deserves to be in, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't. LSU, and honestly, that was inexplicable. When I ran those numbers, they had a much higher. I mean, it was like 77% chance to win that game, and I looked at it and I was like, the line again. The entire season, LSU has gone the way of whatever their offensive line is doing.
Completely.
It really has. Like Jaden.
Last game, Alabama. What happens?
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels has what I call like battered QB syndrome. He does. I mean, it didn't start. It didn't start at LSU, but it's continuing there because when he gets sacked too much, he doesn't get through his progressions again. And he'll flinch, he'll feel that rush coming, he's gone. Now, good. It's good that he has legs enough, to run, but you throw a spy on him and get a little bit of pass rush, sack him a couple of times early in the first quarter, and he's not able to actually stay in the pocket and focus after that. And that was something that we saw at Arizona State. But I think it's transferred over now to LSU.
I think it's gotten a little bit better. I do think it's gotten a lot better.
A little bit, yeah.
If you like Alabama had 6 sacks, 4 of them in the first half.
And he stood in that pocket.
Yeah, he sat in the pocket and he rifled it.
Yeah.
I do think a little bit of the flu, him getting it and getting a little bit hurt, is dictating that for him. But Memphis, and I think the transition of this to transition into LSU Georgia, he's got to go off. He's got to go off. I promise you this: Georgia's beatable. Memphis, when I got the all 22 copy on Sunday, I got 3 games. I asked for Missouri, I asked for Tennessee, and
Missouri.
I asked for Missouri, I asked for Tennessee, and I asked for Georgia Tech. Okay,
all you have to do is put on the Missouri game. That's it. If you put on the Missouri game, Georgia was beat.
They were beat. And the way they did that, Drinkowitz exposed them. If you can get to the edge, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble.
You got to get there. You got to get there first. It's a problem to get there. But
don't tell anybody, but their corners are a lot worse than they were last year.
Bingo. Ringo is handsy and beatable. He's beatable. I promise you LSU's got the dudes on the outside to beat him. Mm-hmm. I get that they lost to A&M. I get it.
Yeah.
Memphis, if this game 17-7, 17-14, and they keep LSU around, brother, I'm just telling you. All right. you know the chart.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Just F up and find out. You're going to mess up and you're going to find out.
If they keep LSU in this game, let's put it like this. If LSU's in the same situation that Missouri was in that game, LSU wins hands down.
I think they can. I think
And I'm sure Brian Kelly has that tape. Here are the 2 key things to know about Georgia. And if somehow you cannot do these 2 things, you can beat Georgia. Stay out of third down.
Yep.
First and second down, you can gain as many yards as you want. Third down, they've been shutting teams down on third down.
Yeah.
First down and second down, though, I don't know. It's almost like a bend don't break type defense where they're focused on stopping you on third down unless you don't have a third down. If you start picking up those big plays and chunks of yards on first and second down, it's like they're reeling, and that's what Missouri was doing. And Missouri's talent level, God bless them, they don't have. I don't know if anybody on there. They have one or two guys that may have started on LSU, but that's it. They're not world beaters. Their defense is pretty stout, but their offense, like I said, they got one or two guys that could probably compete for a starting job, and that's about it. One on the line and one wide receiver.
It might not work against LSU, okay? Or it might not work for LSU, meaning LSU might not be the team to take them down. But if you keep playing to the level of your competition, you're going to get beat. Okay?
Yeah.
If you keep messing around, you're going to get beat. They messed around with Georgia Tech last week. They had a Kirby, I heard the sound of him in the locker room going ballistic, and they turn it on. I just don't think I hate to say it like this, Memphis. You got to let LSU's last week just let it go out the window.
Yeah. You got to air that out. You got to put that behind you. Like a pitcher that just gave up a home run. You got to put that behind you because this game's for all the marbles. I still think Georgia gets in even with this loss.
Oh, they're in.
But it changes the dynamic of the playoff in and of itself. The other thing that you can't do is, and Georgia, secretly, they've been living off this all year. I think they're number one in the nation on scoring defense, meaning people are throwing pick six, people are fumbling in inopportune times. You do that against Georgia, it only takes one or two for them to get on top of you. They start scoring, they score a touchdown on defense, wrap it up. But if you're careful with the ball, you're not throwing picks and you're not fumbling it, and you pick up yards on first and second down. It sounds simple, but not doing those two things puts you in reach of beating them almost every game. Mm-hmm. And Missouri, if you put on that game, they will show you exactly how to do that. They're not, like I said, on offense, they're not that good. They're much a better defensive team than they are offensively. And, they were able to move the rock just by picking up chunk yardage and really getting to the edge when they needed to. Getting to the edge, their corners are better defenders than they are tackling on the edge. You start getting sweeps out there or running off tackle, they don't want that type of contact, or that's what it looks like. Now, I'm not, I don't want any of them showing up at my door or anything like that. But it doesn't look like they're looking for that type of contact on the edge, and tackling on the edge hasn't been that great for them.
So I agree with you, and the transition to their offense. Look, LSU's got nothing to really lose here, in my opinion. First year under Brian Kelly, I get you lost a playoff spot or could potential. I still think USC goes ahead of them. Even if LSU,
nobody thought they were going to the playoffs this year, though. Even I would say that they only win in 8 games, and I remember I was more bullish on Brian Kelly than most of my colleagues.
Right. You came on the show and you talked about that.
Yeah,
so you really don't have a lot to necessarily lose here, retrospectively.
Right.
Here's the thing that I think for LSU and Georgia. I think Georgia's going to watch last week. They're going to line up and run it right at them. Okay. My opinion is this. You got to stack the box and just let Sequavia spin it in his new fade, looking like Boosie Boo out there. Let him beat you. Okay. If you let the white Boosie Boo beat you, you got a fighting chance. Okay. Because you can't let a team. Memphis, if LSU would have lost last week and Cotter Weigman goes 32 of 45 with 5 touchdowns, I'm like, you know what? Kid's a 5-star quarterback. Sometimes you just can't beat a good quarterback. What I can't deal with is you just getting absolutely punched. I think Georgia's going to try to do that. But if I'm Matt House, if I'm Brian Kelly, Staquavius, you're going to have to do it yourself. That's how I see it. Do you agree with that?
I think that if you take the run away from Georgia, which is something else that Missouri did, they were like, okay, you're not going to run on us. Let Stetson Bennett beat us. And to be fair, Stetson's had a fairly decent year this year. If there's one quarterback that looks better this year than they did last year,
it
is
him.
Stetson Bennett. Mm-hmm. Head and shoulders better than last year.
Yeah, because he went 24-43 in that game, 312 yards. Now, he didn't throw a touchdown, but he didn't throw an interception either. I mean, they threw the ball a lot.
Right. But that would be the ticket also. Try to allow Stetson Bennett to beat you. Now, he still may beat you because, like I said, he's better than this year. But don't get blown off the line. If you have to stack the box, and I'm guessing LSU's probably going to have 6-7 in the box almost every play. I don't know if you can put 8 in the box with those receivers, but you're going to at least have to have 7. And
you're going to have to play 7 or 8 in the box, and you're going to have to play zone. You're going to have to disguise it. You're going to have to
matchup zone. Yeah, you're going to have to disguise.
You're going to have to just look. You're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at him. Paul's Hub Martin, our good buddy Paul's Hub, says to ask you, how do you contain Brock Bowers? Or let me ask you this: is there a way to contain Baby Gronk?
I
hope he gets like breaks his pinky toe and can't walk. I mean, that's the only way. Harold Perkins is not covering him in one-on-one coverage. LSU, in my opinion, doesn't have one single. I don't think that there's I'm not going to single out LSU. I don't think that there's a person one-on-one that can guard him, much less LSU.
I think you have to bracket him, but the thing is, I haven't really even seen anybody successful doing that. I wanted to point to an example, but I'm just like, No,
you know what the Ravens did? Again, remember when the Ravens, I'm pretty sure it was the Ravens, that year they won with Flacco, and it was like Gronk's best season?
Yeah.
They legitimately bracketed Gronk with Ray, and it wasn't Ed. I forget the other safety. They just bracketed. They played a cover 2 on Gronk. Mm-hmm. Hey, I got 5 to 10. You got 12 to 15 and everything else. That's how you got to stop him. I mean, because look, again, I can live with Lad McConkey. Somebody came on here and called him Mahonky. I can let Mahonky beat me. I don't want Bowers beating me. Like, take away what they do well, right?
Exactly. And you're going to have to bracket him. The other thing you have to do is get physical with him at the line of scrimmage. I mean,
agreed.
The one thing that you can do with him is make his route harder to run. And you do that, you're going to have to jam him at the line of scrimmage, then bracket him when he makes his cut. And that's the only. But giving that much attention to him may leave you're going to have some folks on an island, and they better come with it. Now, we are talking about DBU. So that's, but still, you're going to have, you'll have a lot of guys on the island in that situation. And you'll have your weak side exposed a lot of times in that situation over the top. So it's a catch-22, honestly. That's a really good question, because I don't know if anybody's really done a good job at stopping Bowers this year, but that get physical with him on the line, kind of, you have to make him at least work for his route, and then bracket him. Because I can tell you what, you may not be able to stop him, but I'm pretty sure that if Stetson Bennett gets an early interception, he's going to rethink a lot of those passes over the middle, and he may get a little gun shy.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I was thinking about this on Sunday, and I wrote it down in my notebook. I never really remember watching a Georgia game where I know that he runs, okay, and he has pressure on him. Mm-hmm. I don't ever really remember a team like hitting him a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Meaning, like, so what my happy ass did was I went and watched the first game between Bama and Georgia, the SEC championship game.
Okay.
And Will Anderson went cuckoo for absolute Cocoa Puffs. Went
He did.
bananas, Bananas.
He did.
I wonder if Harold Perkins starts getting a little bit of a rush. He doesn't have to always get home, but if you start hitting him, because the only team that has had really made Stetson Bennett look bad in the last, let's just call it 15 games, has been Alabama. The way they did that was hitting him. I mean, I'm not going nuts when I think that, am I?
No. Bronco, that game in and of itself, not that he didn't have my vote before, but the Bronco Nagurski Award went to him based off that game. That game was a
you're a voter on that, correct?
Yes. Okay. I'm a voter on most of about 9 of the 25 I guess highest college football awards. I vote on all of those. Most of them.
And you need to give Michigan you got to give that O-line of Michigan the trophy.
Man. Yes. There's a couple of guys. The Outland Trophy. Probably going to go to a guy on Michigan. If you look at the finalist and find the Michigan guy, that's probably. I'm not supposed to tell you.
I got the Outland Trophy tattooed on my ribs.
There you go. But yeah, there's a good shot that if you can get into the backfield, because Georgia's line is still really good. If you can get in the backfield and give them some happy feet, make them throw a signal that LSU may win this game is an early turnover by Georgia. If there's an early turnover by Georgia, if somehow Stetson Bennett throws a pick, like in the first quarter, watch out. Because if you can get in his head early, good things. Now, the opposite is also true. If Jaden Daniels is throwing a pick in the first quarter, well,
LSU's in trouble.
I mean, fine. It's time for Christmas shopping because, there's you may not want to watch the rest of the game. Not saying that they can't come back or anything, but it's going to get, especially if it's like a pick six or a defensive score. A defensive score by Georgia almost seals the deal every time, especially if it's in the first half.
All right, last one for you, and I'm going to go to Michigan. Listen, a lot of people wanted Harbaugh to be fired. Okay,
I remember
this is a good indication of you don't always have to fire a coach. Now, if it's Ed Orgeron level bad last season,
yeah.
All right, listen, okay,
Will Wade,
right, but Harbaugh has built something up there, brother. They are physical. They got weapons on the outside. They got really good running backs. Their quarterback's playing well. And here's the crazy thing, Memphis. Their defense is pretty damn good. Lights out. They're fast, physical. Let me say this. Memphis, I kind of want to see a national title with Georgia and Michigan. I really, really do.
Look, man, the game might be, 10-7, but I'm a defensive guy, man. I just want to see them go smash up against each other because it'll be a chess match. And
it will be a chess match.
And one for the ages.
Memphis, am I wrong in saying this in your opinion? I think Harbaugh can win it.
Yeah. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, somebody was asking me this. I was like, well, who's the team that can beat Georgia? I was like, Michigan.
No.
Michigan can beat Georgia. Michigan can, I won't say easily beat Georgia, but if you saw how they dismantled Ohio State's offense is still better than Georgia's. And, I'm just saying, now Ohio State's defense, the things I was saying about Ohio State's defense, it's funny. Their secondary is kind of iffy, but not as iffy as Tennessee's. And I was telling everybody, man, those secondaries, I don't trust them. But then they both have had games since then that kind of show people what I saw with that secondary. When you get blown out by South Carolina, and make the other guy look like a Heisman winner, and you get blown out like that, you can't get blown out in the shoe by Michigan like that. Ryan Day, I know he's 33-2.
Is he on the hot seat?
I know he's 33-2, but I guarantee you that there's a lot of people talking about we may have the wrong guy because he's 1-2 against Michigan.
Memphis, that is freaking real. Memphis.
There are people. I kid you not. There are legitimately people talking about he's 33-2. But we may have the wrong guy.
Why can't you look at Michigan and look at Harbaugh then? Like, like you're literally the guy that's beating you took 7 years to do it, and he's beat you twice in a row.
That's right. That's right.
Ryan Day, like Memphis, you gotta give Day a little bit of time here. Like, I mean,
absolutely. Look,
come on.
I'm not making any decisions up there at Ohio State, but there are rumblings by legit boosters that call shots that are like, they're squirming a little bit because they don't. I mean, they do not like losing to Michigan, and if it happens next year,
they're gonna fire him. They're gonna fire him. If it happens next year, they're gonna fire him.
I'm not saying that they move on, but if it were to happen along with another loss, then they'll see that as regression, and they'll be like, Mike Vrabel, let's do this.
What's so crazy too is that Ohio State job.
Yep. Whatever you're gonna say about it. Yep.
I mean, because here's the thing. I know for a fact. I talked to an offensive coordinator in the Big Ten. He was on. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not. If I say it, then people will Google it, and then they'll know one of my coaches. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to him pretty regularly, and he told me that in the coaching realm, people would rather go to Ohio State and face Michigan and now USC versus going through a week where you're playing, whether you want to make fun of this or not, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, LSU, Bama, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida.
Easily.
I mean, because Memphis, because here's the thing. If you go to non-conference games and you don't have divisions, everybody keeps telling me that schedule, Blake, they never do it. Really? Because Auburn's going to play Georgia and Alabama either way. You mean to tell me Hugh Freeze isn't going to have to go up against those other teams? You damn stupid. So just throwing it out there. All right. I kept you longer.
How do you feel about Hugh Freeze, by the way? Because I know you way back in the day at Briarcrest High School back in Memphis.
Excuse me 1 second. My hookers are calling me.
Look, man, Hugh Freeze is still doing Memphis type stuff. Let's just put it like that. Keep in mind that this man coached in Memphis for 12 years.
The Tuohys were there. Memphis, the Tuohys were at the press conference.
Yep. I can't tell you, like, nobody in Memphis is like top 25 in strip clubs. Let's just be honest. I don't think anybody would be asking him, about, escort services on his phone while he's coaching there. The culture shock that he had going from there down to Ole Miss, I think that's what you kind of saw happen. Now, I think he can, he did his little Liberty dance, got paid, and I think he can stay on his best behavior at Auburn, to be honest with you. But that's why I think that happened, in my opinion. I think he'll be back to coaching here.
Look, I got DMs on my Twitter account from Hugh, from something I said about 9 months ago. Okay. I called his offense. I said that his passing game was drawn up in crayon. Okay. On a national radio show. Okay. And I got a DM saying, well, something to the effect, well, I'm Crayola, bitch. Okay. And so I was like, Hugh, you're running short side slants on the short side of the field. Okay. He goes, well, I called the play and the quarterback called the op. I was like, well, I mean, with all due respect, I mean,
Yeah.
you're up 17, and there's a thing called timeouts. Okay, and so he blamed Malik. Who's the kid at Tennessee now? The quarterback.
Hooker?
No. The kid that's with the Titans now. God bless it. He was our quarterback at Liberty a season ago. Somebody help me out.
Oh, was it? It's not Malik Cunningham. It's I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not coming. Whatever the kid's name is, he Malik Willis. Malik Willis.
Yep, Willis.
He told me that he called the wrong play. Basically, I mean that's basically the DM. I mean, I don't have to prove anything to you or anybody, but the bottom line is that hold on. He's too petty to be an SEC coach.
He is pet. See, yeah.
See, like I'm not going to.
He is because.
Let me show you this.
He still has that Memphis in him, man. Okay. I don't know what to tell you.
Just so everybody knows that there was things being, okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, bottom line, Memphis, he's like, you can't message a victim.
No.
Okay.
Ever. For any reason.
So, for even if they're dead wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. Like, so now on the field, what I saw from Robbie Ashford last week, shit. That kid can play, Memphis. That kid can play. They gonna win games now. They gonna win games.
It's gonna be if they can. It's gonna be a PR nightmare, but they're gonna win some games. And in the Plains, if you win games,
he covers things up for a while. They're gonna freak out.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think it's gonna be okay. I don't think they win a natty. I don't think that they win a natty.
I don't know if they win a natty with Hugh or not, but I think they'll be.
The only way they win a natty is if they're like the 12th team that gets in, or the 11th team that gets in, and they get hot and they run the table. Like, so for example, okay, as an example, that team that lost to Georgia in the SEC title game, the team that went in there with 2 losses, I think they had Kerryon Johnson, and I think Jared Stidham was on. If that team made the playoffs, that team could have won a natty, in my opinion, because they got hot at the right time, right? Like, so they could do it that way with the playoff expanding. Them going up against the new SEC, I don't see it, because who are they going to take here's the ultimate question that I always ask myself, Memphis. When you come in here and you say you're going to recruit at a high level, who are you taking the recruits from?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
You're getting 5 stars, which means you're taking them from somebody else. Okay, you're going to take Memphis. Could you sit here right now and say that Hugh Freeze beats Nick Saban in a one-on-one battle in recruiting? Because I won't.
Not in recruiting,
right?
I don't know. He did. How many 5 stars did he have at Mississippi? Because I think
here's the thing.
Duplicate that.
Well, if you remember, Laquan Treadwell never took a visit.
Right.
That's how all of this started. And then NCAA started asking Laquan questions. He's like, hell yeah, I got hookers on Tuesdays, hookers on Thursdays.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
Anyway, all right.
There was let's put it like this. There are things floating around in social media still about certain days of the week at clubs in Memphis.
What do you call it? The chicken wing place? Megan, what's the where does Jody live? My wife's mother or stepmom lives in Collierville.
There it is.
Hey, and then we go over to Germantown. Then there's one big building I see in Germantown every time. Bound chicken, wow. I mean, chicken wings.
Hey, man. He's Hugh Freeze. He's Hugh Freeze, and that's how he recruit. He was recruiting. It was an interesting recruiting technique.
The chicken strips get literal. All right, I'm getting you out of here. We're 10 minutes past our schedule. All right, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you. We'll see you soon. I'll try to probably get you on next week if that's okay. Once we get all this settled out. All right, that's Memphis Spence. See you, buddy. All right, that's Memphis Spence joining us. All right, we're out of here. We're 11 minutes over. 11 minutes over. Until then, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scouts.